What is up, y'all? I am visiting my cousins right now, and I have more books to read about writing, so yay. And my dream is to become an author and write something worth reading. So hopefully these books will help with it. First, I'm reading Bird by Bird by Anne Lamott. And I'm only partway through the introduction, but so far I like it and it's very engaging. Anyways, I'm going to go read now, so adios. I'm back and I finished the book. A lot of the writing advice in here I thought was pretty helpful. Some of it I had already heard, other tips I hadn't yet, and I thought about just explaining those writing tips to y'all, and then that's that. But then I was like, this writing advice isn't going to do me any good if I don't actually try and follow it. So I thought in this video I would also show me trying to write and become a better writer, using some of the tips in this book. So I'm just going to pick and choose the ones I want to try out for this video. I'm just going to bunch a bunch of them together. So first of all, she said not to worry about perfectionism, that I'm going to make mistakes anyway, and I just need to get whatever down on paper if I actually want to end up writing something that I'll be able to edit later. 2, you're gonna write a terrible first draft no matter what, so really just don't worry about what you're gonna write, just start writing words, just get something down. Also, just try and focus on finishing one short assignment, and if you can, write consistently. She suggested about 300 words, so I'm going to write 300 words for each day. So I'm going to write 300 words every day for the next 5 days and see if I become a little bit better at writing. Today is Tuesday, which means I need to write another 300 words. And yesterday I did write 300 words, I just forgot to record it, but here's proof I did it. Yeah, I can't show you what it is, because another piece of writing advice she gave is don't worry about showing it to anyone else, you're just writing to get it down for yourself. But don't worry, it was just random, incoherent rubbish, so you didn't miss much. Here's proof. There, that's all I'm gonna show you. Anyways, I'm going to go right now, another 300 words, and yeah. It is now Friday and I am so close to completing this 5-day challenge. Except I did miss writing Wednesday, but I made up for it by writing 600 words yesterday. So even though I partially failed some of this challenge, I'm still going to complete it today. But to be honest, I am having a very hard time coming up with words at the moment to write down for the last 300, because even yesterday, like the last 200 that I wrote yesterday, I had difficulty coming up with that. So right now I'm a bit of writer's block, but fortunately I remembered another piece of writing advice from Bird by Bird. On page 94 of Bird by Bird, it says, try walking around with a child who's going, wow, wow, look at that dirty dog. Look at the burned down house. Look at the red sky. And the child points out and you look, and you see, and you start going. Wow, look at that huge crazy hedge. Look at that teeny little baby. Look at that scary dark cloud. And I think this is how we are supposed to be in the world, present and in awe. I think that's my favorite line in the whole book. I think this is how we're supposed to be in the world, present and in awe. That's really how you find out what you want to write about. It's to just look around and be in awe of stuff, be present, and just find something interesting in everything. So even though I don't have a little child around to point out all these things I might miss, I can try looking around and seeing if I find anything of interest to write about. And with that, I'm done with this writing challenge. And though I failed to do it every single day, I feel pretty good about writing 1,500 words this week. And I feel like I was relatively creative with it. And her writing advice definitely helped from Bird by Bird.
One more thing I forgot to mention. The book gets its title from an experience Anne Lamott had when she saw her brother, who was struggling getting this project done, where he had to research all these birds, and he was just so overwhelmed. And then his dad came in the room and told him to just take it bird by bird. And so it's just another way of saying take it one step at a time, but much more poetic and beautiful. So I really like the title and where that came from. And I guess that's one of her biggest pieces of writing advice, is just take it bird by bird, one step at a time, and try not to get overwhelmed by the writing process, because it can seem so stressful to get all the parts of writing a novel down and going through writing your first draft to rewriting your drafts and then going through editing and hearing what others think and then eventually publishing if that's what you want to do with your work. And if you think about all that at once, it seems impossible to write a book. But if you just look at one bird at a time, then it's not so bad. So I will definitely try and keep that in mind whenever I am writing and throughout my writing journey.
And now I am starting to read On Writing by Stephen King. So here it is. I'm already partway through it, and so far I really like it. It's sort of like a memoir. Well, it does say memoir in the front, but it's kind of just he's talking about his childhood and his young adult life and how he got started in writing and giving bits of writing advice. I think there is more like stated writing advice, I guess, towards the back, but I might be wrong about that. But so far it's more like a memoir of his writing journey, so I'm really enjoying it. And I'm going to go continue reading, and then I'll try out some of his writing advice. Just finished On Writing by Stephen King. Yay. And I wrote down sticky notes throughout on different pieces of writing advice that I wanted to discuss, and there's just so many. So I'm just going to briefly go over each of the ones that helped me the most. And there's also one writing exercise that I will try to do in this video on writing advice. Number one, this isn't his number one piece of writing advice, it's just the first thing I wrote down. So on vocabulary, typically you want to use the first word that comes to mind and don't hesitate about it. If you hesitate about your word choice, then probably whatever you've thought about for a long time is probably not the right word to use. Just whatever comes first is most natural to use in that case. Not always, but a lot of the time. Then for grammar, use active over passive voice and verbs over adverbs. 3, also grammar and structure, does it need to follow the rules? I don't remember how to elaborate on that. These are just notes. Number 4, must read a ton to write well. That I agree with.
and that's like what a lot of this channel is going to be exploring, is reading a lot in hopes that I can become a better writer. So I have this massive TBR that I'm going to explore in the next few videos, and when I run out of books, who knows, I might have more books, or I might end up getting a library card. And number 5 piece of writing advice that I wrote down: when you write consistently in a consistent and distraction-free place. Number 6, don't plot. Eek. A little eek. Because I have always thought you're supposed to plot a book, and I've tried plotting before, but maybe I would do better without plotting. I can't read what I wrote. Don't worry about the ending. Oh, that too, so don't worry about the ending. And number 7, describe as much as it makes sense. Good to use figurative speech as long as it fits and is not cliche. Number 8, backstory. Only include the necessary and interesting bits. So yeah, that's like a very vague summary, and sorry I'm not really explaining it, but honestly he explains these in so much more detail. That's very helpful, and definitely should read this book. By the way, this is like 4.7 stars for me, so really great read, highly recommend. Anyway, the exercise I'm going to be practicing from his book, which is like the only stated exercise: write 5 or 6 pages of unplotted narration. So just like without plotting anything, and this is a big exercise for me because I like plotting. Just sit down, write 5 or 6 pages, not planning it out, just seeing what happens. I think another thing he said in his book was to write his stories, he a lot of times starts with just a situation. Like, what would happen if these characters were in this situation, or that, or something else? How would they work themselves out of it? Or what would they do in that case? And not what you would do, but what your characters would do. So yeah, I think I'm going to try that out, and I will try that out, and see if it helps me to become a bit better writer. I know he says to just write a lot, practice writing and reading a lot, and that'll really help you improve. So I know this one exercise probably won't make me be a super better writer, but it'll get me started in the right direction. So yeah.
And with that, I am done with Stephen King's writing exercise. I am so glad that I got to do that. It was actually pretty fun. At first, I was having a really hard time getting into it, but once I kind of found out where I was going, I thoroughly enjoyed writing. And I'm excited to write more and expand more on what I wrote in there. But yeah, so with that, it concludes my writing video, and I hope you'll enjoyed it, because I want to write stuff worth reading, but I also want to make videos worth watching. So hope you'll have a blessed day. Adios.